All right, so this one
sorry,
here
go ahead.
is Alex Hormozi. I don't know if you've heard about Alex Hormozi, Andrew, but he's like a business mentor guy, very successful at what he does, highly competent, highly successful guy. But sometimes they do stray into the philosophical side of things and into the life's meaning side of things. And it's the similar sort of story that everything is ultimately meaningless whilst they're doing things that are meaningful to them, I guess. But have a listen to his take on this.
I love this statement. A desire is a contract we make with ourselves to be unhappy until we get what we want. And so whenever we state a desire, like I want this amount of money, I want whatever, you literally sign a contract that says like, I won't be unhappy until that happens. Right. And so like I had this thing earlier on where I was like, I want to have meaning. I want to have great meaning.
So remember that as you, the audience, are watching this, that everything that he's about to say is based on the conditional that you believe his first statement, which is that a desire is a contract that you write with yourself that you won't be happy until you get it. I would just easily negate this by saying that that's complete bullshit and nonsense, and observably so. And so everything he says post that is just going to be, it's just going to fall flat. That's what I would claim. But
what do you think is bullshit about that first statement?
Well, the thing is that you can have desires and still be very happy. You can still be very happy. You're not, you don't have to say, well, I'm not going to be happy until I get this thing that I desire. Right. There's all sorts of things that I desire to have that I can't get, but I'm still very happy, man, whether I have those things or not. Right. So no, I don't believe that it's a contract that you need to sign with yourself or else you're not going to be happy. That's bullshit. Yeah. You know, there's a, like, I'll give you an example, an easy example. There are people who desire to have more children who can't. That doesn't mean that they're not going to be happy with the children that they currently have or the life they currently have because they can't have more. It's regretful, but it doesn't mean that they're signing a contract away saying that they're not going to be happy till it happens.
True. All right.
I want to have great meaning in my life. And I was talking to a guy who made a lot more money than me. You have meaning. Earlier on where I was like, I want to have meaning. I want to have great meaning in my life. And I was talking to a guy who made a lot more money than me. And he was like, because I asked him, I said, how do you create and destroy meaning in your work? That was the question I asked him on a podcast. And he was like, why do you think life needs to be meaningful? And it was the same exact thing as the happiness versus like the meaning thing, where it's like, I say life has to be meaningful and therefore everything that I'm doing, like I create this expectation of life. Whereas if life just is, it just is. And it's the only way that you can actually be there. It's just pure acceptance. Right. Which is why like the whole like shoulds of like, we should work, we should have balance, we should X. It's like, I believe marriage is a compromise. Like these are just statements of belief that are casting expectations out in the world that are just bound to be untrue at some point and then create dissonance. And so it's like, I believe marriage is marriage. And I believe my marriage is my marriage. And I believe your marriage is your marriage. And like, I believe that I can work 24 hours a day if I want to. And that is all, period. Not, and it's bad or and it's good. And there's no judgment.
Yeah, so an idea here, this is, and he just summed it up perfectly. I was about to sum it up the same way. What he's talking about here is judgment. That's what he's talking about. He's saying that nobody has any business telling anybody else what the oughts of life should be, but rather they should live in the eternal right now, the ever right now. And whatever those conditionals are for the ever right now are completely fine, and that you have really no business telling others or trying to move society socially towards some type of larger picture or some type of goal achievement, but rather should just live in the ever present. And the thing about this is that this, if you listen to it, this actually sounds pretty good, right? The idea of accepting how things are right now till you think about it for 2 seconds and you recognize that every single parable and proverb that you've ever heard from any culture, including children's stories, are directly negating this guy. Here's the idea of living in the ever now. There's an old story of the ant and the grasshopper, right? And what is the story? That the grasshopper was lazy as fuck and did nothing. And the ant said, hey, you should probably store up for winter. And he didn't. And the ant did. The grasshopper died. The ant didn't. So should the ant have given the grasshopper? Should the ant have given the grasshopper the ought? Yes. Yes, he should have. And is it the case that the grasshopper was preparing for the future, which was coming outside of the right now? Yes.
Yeah. Well, the thing I find it funny about this is that this guy is a business mentor, and he's somebody who will teach people how to scale their businesses. And when you're talking about that, you're talking about systems and processes that get you from one place to another place that you want to get to. He's all about systems and processes, and he's got a company called acquisition.com where he acquires different companies. I mean, like, it just doesn't make any sense with the way that he lives his life. And I don't understand why people are so hesitant to say, hey, you know what, maybe there is meaning to life, maybe there is meaning to these things that I'm doing and these competencies that I'm building, and maybe there is meaning to my marriage. It's like, why is it such a sort of
well, why does
virtue
he
signal
work?
to say everything's meaningless?
Why does he work out?
Yeah.
That's strange. That doesn't seem like it's living in some type of is. My body is this way. It seems like it's moving towards an ought be this way, right? Should move towards this thing, not just a central desire, but a desire that you'd move out to the ethos because you know it would be helpful to others.
Yeah. I just don't get why they're so hesitant and scared to just say, actually, I can intuit that there's meaning. It's almost like it's written on my heart that there is some sort of a telos. There is some sort of a meaning to life and some
This
sort of
is what this
purpose.
is, though. This is a rejection of telos. It's a rejection of saying that there's purpose. Like he started the story with, what did he start it with? Why does there need to be meaning? You see what I mean? It's like, well, if there needs to be no meaning, or why does there need to be any meaning? Does that question have any meaning? No. Well, then if the question has no meaning, why did you fucking ask it?
True.
Right? Why did you ask it?
Yeah. Yeah, because when you say there's no meaning, it's like you're implying that everything is just in flux and everything is just chaos, because you're also implying that there's no order to the world. Because if there's order, then there has to be meaning, right? So, like, what is everything that you're doing just chaos, or actually are you an extremely ordered person, and you're teaching people how to also have some sort of order and structure in their life?
Let's hear the rest.
On it just is. And so, like, if I get dopamine secreted in my brain when I start working, cool. Like, and I will optimize for dopamine. And if I die, I know that in 1,000 generations, nothing I do anyways is going to matter. So who cares? Like, that's like the opening thing in my book is like, there are no rules. Like, we live in this shoulds and have tos and like happiness. Everyone talks about it. And it's just like, everyone is unhappy because they say they want to be happy, rather than being like, accepting like fuck happiness.
I see. This is a brilliant analysis. I could also say everyone's unhappy because they're alive. Right?
You could, yeah.
So then you can eliminate all unhappiness, not just by not caring, but by just ending all life. And then nobody will ever be unhappy. Logical entailment of what he's saying. The idea here is what his essential argument, his scoped argument is, or his scoped worldview here, if I'm taking like a bird's eye view. Mm-hmm. He's saying, if you stop thinking about happiness at all, you'll never be unhappy, right? But what he takes it a step further than that and says, so you should just kind of live in the ever is, the ever right now, the thing which is right now, accept that for what it is, and you'll never be unhappy. The problem is, though, is that it's not really just a matter of happiness or unhappiness, right? It's a matter of purpose and telos. It's a matter of movie. So he makes this decorative statement: 1,000 years, no one will care what I did anyway. But they do. Single men have reshaped the entirety of the world that we currently live in 1,000 years before we ever lived in it. And to pretend otherwise is foolish and stupid. And to pretend that a single man can't change the world 1,000 years hence by a single idea or a single invention or a single thing that he does is foolish and stupid. So I think it's a short-sighted way. It's very feminine speak, by the way. It's feminist speak.
When you say that there's no rules, do you mean that there's no rules? I mean, like no rules whatsoever?
Well,
or are there some rules that you
he's
could
right.
concede to?
But wait, isn't he right in a sense about that? So he comes to a conclusion, which I would come to the same conclusion. There are no real fucking rules except what force applies. That is descriptively true, right?
Yeah, well, that is descriptively true. That's
But what about the ought there, right? That's where, so he just stays with the descriptor. But where should we go from that? We know that force maybe is the only practical application of rules, but shouldn't there be a moral ethos for rules?
Yeah, but then
Isn't
if
it?
he gets into if he gets into
It
any sort of
destroys
normative claims, then he
everything.
has to appeal to something to something objective.
Something objective or something
Yeah.
at least that would move people rhetorically towards something, but he's not even going to do that. He's just going to accept the descriptor. There are no rules. So therefore, do whatever the fuck you want. There's no rules.
Like I just am, period. And then like I don't need to judge the am. It just is.
What do you say to that?
I don't know. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because so one thing I noticed is if you're like,
Hang
I
on,
just
hang on.
want to
I
be
know what
happy.
you say to that.
Yeah.
I know what you say to that. You ready? You're full of shit and a fucking retard. This makes absolutely no sense. I would dismantle it in 15 seconds under a Socratic method. That's what I would say to it.
Yeah,
Within a few
yeah.
minutes, I would have you contradict yourself, and it would take no time at all, and we would see that this entire appeal is nonsense. And fortunately, you have to always remember, too, you don't ever see these guys really ever defend their view. They go on podcasts where they make pre-hand agreements that these people will basically give them a softball interview, and then that gets out into the ethos.
Yeah,
Esoteric
for sure.
garbage 101.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I just find the contradiction is something that's just the most baffling thing, because I've watched a lot of this guy, Alex Hormozi's content. He's a really smart guy, very good with business, very good business advice, scaling, structuring, all of this sort of thing.
Which guy is
And then
Alex?
he comes out, Alex Hormozi is the one who we've been
okay.
reviewing. And then he comes out and says this sort of thing, and it almost pisses me off, because I'm like, why take that view when you've got so much to offer and you could actually provide people with, why tell people that life is just meaningless when you're providing so much value, you know?
Because he doesn't want to give away the gold anymore or something. He doesn't have the Gary V approach to just give away the gold because 80% of people aren't going to do shit with it anyway, right? He wants people to pay for the good information, most likely. Didn't he just launch a new thing on school? Like I don't follow him, but I'm familiar with him, right?
Yeah, I don't know what he's just launched, but yeah.
Does that mean, Alex, that you think that at some point that will change for you or something, or you live with fear that will change?
I think you guys maybe are taking what I'm saying the wrong way. I mean, like Alex is saying, you know, everybody has different beliefs, and there's no one rule fits all to everybody. And so if I say I want to be happy, that doesn't make me wrong. Like if I want to live my life that way, that's perfectly fine. But the thing that what Jack is saying is, no, I am like happy. For me, I like to make like a conscious effort to work towards that. And Alex can live his life like life is life. My marriage is my marriage. And it works for him, and that generates happiness, whether he's like thinking about it.
But it doesn't have to generate happiness. That's the point.
Yes,
right,
that's
right
the
there.
point. Yes.
But because it makes it like, not because. It's like when people say like, hey, work, set these goals and like the rest will take care of itself. It still makes the rest taking care of itself the reason that you're doing it, which means that it's actually not getting around it. When people are like, you got to be process driven. If you're like, if we focus on the process, the goals take care of themselves. It still means that the goals are important. So like you have to, if you want to make the transition from like a process driven life, which is like, I'm doing these things to do them, period, then so that I can be happy, so that I can have a good marriage, so that I can have a meaningful life has to disappear from the equation. It has to be, I do them, period, not because. I do them.
What?
But
So, why? Yeah, but why would you do them with no motivation of because? That's the
Yeah.
point. That makes no sense. It's a self-contradicting statement. You have to just do them and not do them because. However, people have ascribed motivations for the things they do because. That's why. Because your motivation for working out is because
You want to get healthy.
your motivation for wealth is because.
You want to take care of your family.
So why would you be doing any of these things with no motivation for because? You would just do them. That makes no sense.
Yeah. It completely defeats the purpose of all the things that you do. And this is why I find it so frustrating when these guys do this, because they've got so much influence as well. But yeah, if he watches this, Alex Hormozi, you're more than welcome to come on the show, obviously.